Hey guys, Nigel here with you, Nigel's on the bench. We're back, part 14 I think this is, isn't it, of the Sea King build. And as you can see, we've got the XF83 down now, so you can see that that's all done. So that is now the finished colour. If you remember, all these sponsons are all masked off and everything. So now we've got to mask off and do our red. Remember we did the white, they're all masked off, those little antenna and stuff. So they're all masked off. I haven't touched this for about a week, so this paint should be good and dry, so safe for masking. And as you can see, on the rear end, it's pretty simple. It's just a straight line up through the middle of that seam there, so that's going to be straightforward. We've got this little grey block. There's a grey block down there. It looks like it's actually still grey, so we're going to mask that off as well. We'll measure that and cut a piece of masking tape to suit. We'll probably be using a bit of liquid mask as well in places. And also, when it comes to the front, it looks like the actual red line is just beyond the door. So this foam here can actually come out, and we'll cover that with a bit of tape. In fact, all of this can come out now, because we won't be spraying, we won't be using this to mask anymore. We'll just put a piece of tape over it. So it's best to get the masking tape out as soon as you can rather than leave it on. So you can see that masking has done a great job there. The interior is nice and sharp. Everything's cool, so that's all good. So what we need to do now is mask off to get the red done. And as I say, on the front, it looks like the red goes just beyond the door. So we're going to need to keep this in, and we're going to have a very narrow red band down there. So it's looking like perhaps the actual mask is on the middle of this. There's a double row of rivets. I don't know if you can see that there. There's a double row of rivets. It looks like the masking is going to be right in the middle of them, and then we're going to have to mask up around here because the engines are not red. They remain grey, and it looks like there. I've just noticed the intakes are black, so we'll have to see. We'll be brush painting all that, I expect. There will be a lot of brush painting and bits and pieces to do. So looks like that little antenna on there has got to be grey as well. I've only just noticed that. But we'll have a look at some photos. I'm not sure if that's the case or not. We've got some bits and pieces we may well glue on, but we'll get the masking done first, and then we'll start to think about whether we glue bits and pieces on. Because obviously masking it means we're going to be handling it. Once the red paint is on, that should be pretty much it for handling. You know, it's going to be a case of getting decals down and stuff. Still concerned about what I'm going to do about these window frames. I haven't got a clue because I want a black surround around them. We'll see how we go about that when it comes to it. So I'm going to get this masking done. I'm not going to force you to sit there and watch me mask. You don't want to do that, do you? And then we'll go from there. So I'll see you in a minute when we're ready to get some red paint down. But there we go, all masked up and ready to go. As you can see, we've come just behind the door there. We must remember we have to paint the doors as well. I think I'm going to have to do some touch up in this area because it's very difficult to get the tape underneath the engine intakes. So we'll probably have to come in with a brush and just brush that in. XF83, we use some of the Modeller's Road acrylic doctor, and that'll brush beautifully then. And I've used an old rubber glove to mask up here. I cut a finger off. I've put that over the tail there, so that's all done. So we're good to go. I'm sure there's going to be overspray in places. We'll deal with that when you come to it. But what I need to do now is look at the greeblies and stuff. For instance, you know, this is going to be all painted red. It's going to be very difficult to get this to go in nicely. So what I'm going to do, now that we've done all the masking, we've done all the handling, and I've been holding it here and everything, so that's why I left all those off. Now we're going to have to put these greeblies on and then treat it like a little sort of museum piece, because it's going to be so easy to break stuff off. Like we've got all these antenna. Let's get to the manual. And we've got, where are we? This is where we had A, B, C, D, wasn't it? Here we go. So this is C, this is the one we're doing. So we've got these little mirrors. I can leave them off because they're going to be painted along with the frames. Remember, we're going to do this red, and then we're going to mask off the frames and paint them grey. But these pitot tubes, they're going to go into these big slots in here. So I want to make sure they're in and all sort of seamed and everything. This little cable cutter on here, I think that's a cable cutter. That's got to go in now. And then we've got all this under here. You can see all the location points. We need to get all that done. So I'm going to go on and get those glued in. You don't need to see that. The clear parts I'm going to leave off until afterwards. But the rest of it we're going to get on now and and we'll go from there. So I'll see you when I've got those glued on and seam sealed. So it's going to be like 2 seconds for you, but it's going to be ages for me. Oh, the other thing is, in the colour call outs, be very careful. They are showing that this antenna here, which is coming out the top of the sponson there, is grey. It's not, it should be red. They're showing this one here is white, and it's not, it should be red. And basically it looks like the antenna are the colour of whatever it is in the background. So this one here is grey, this one here is red, that one there is red. Okay, so I'll be careful of that. So anyway, I'm going to go on and get these bits glued on, and then I'll come back and show you how it looks. Okay, so 24 hours have gone by, and we've done a bit of work. You can see we've got all these greeblies fitted. We've got the little antenna underneath. These fitted absolutely beautifully. We have these pitot tubes up here. They didn't fit quite so beautifully, but I went round with Mr. Surfacer and then sanded it back rather than use the Q-tip. And I've just put some primer over it just to seam check, and they're okay. Yeah, for some reason, rather than just have a pin on the end of those and a hole, they decided to put like a great big lump on the end of them. So I don't know why they did that. This one here fitted beautifully, that little antenna there. I said that was a cable cutter. It's not, it's actually a little antenna. It's the American stuff that's the cable cutters, isn't it? So we're all masked up, we're all ready to go. My little tip here for newbies is the minute before you spray, like I'm going to do this again before I spray it, even though I'm going to start spraying in about 2 minutes. Is literally just go around the edges of all your masking tape and make sure it's pushed down into all little areas. I am sure, because we've got masking tape on matte paint, little areas will lift and it won't stick so good. I am sure we're going to have touch-ups to do. That's not an issue, that's only to be expected. This model is going to be weathered anyway, so I'm not too worried about having to go around and, you know, patch up the grey and everything. I will probably intentionally do some patch-ups on the grey to make it look like it's been patched up, repaired, whatever. I want to make this look a bit well used, covered in soot and dust and everything. So we'll see about doing that. So I'm going to use this LP21, which is actually an Italian red. It's for cars. It's a gloss red, which is absolutely fine. There's a slight grain to this plastic. Somebody mentioned to me they've seen Jennifer's video. I haven't seen it myself, and apparently she got rid of all the graininess of the plastic. It tends to be a trait of Airfix, whereas Hasegawa tend to have very, very shiny, glossy plastic parts. Airfix always seem to have this very slight graininess. Personally, I prefer the graininess, unless it's really bad, like it is on the 124th Hellcat. That's awful, especially as the aircraft's got to be painted gloss blue. But the graininess like we've got on here, I really do like very much indeed. In fact, I love the whole surface finish on this. I just wish they'd slide moulded the fuselage and got some rivet detail on the top, but never mind. Right, so I'm going to get some red paint on here, and then I'll come back and show you what it looks like. I'm not going to do any spraying on camera because it's Tamiya LP paint. It absolutely stinks, and I want to do it in the booth. And I'm also going to make sure this sponge is not gone in anywhere, because the last thing we want is red paint getting inside. So there we go. I think I already mentioned, didn't I? I've used a rubber glove and cut the finger off, and there's the finger there. I think I'd already mentioned that. If I have, I'll edit that bit out, or not, whatever. Right, so I'll see you in a minute when I've got some painting done. Right, there we go. There's the paint on. So we'll get on with the unmasking. As I've always said, with masking, it's best to get it off as quick as you can after painting, otherwise, especially with gloss paint, because otherwise you run the risk of it peeling the paint away, because the paint sort of, imagine this here is the edge of the masking tape. The paint is actually a skin across the two, and if you let it dry too long, as you peel the masking tape away, it will peel the paint off. So be very careful of that. So I'm going to start by using my tweezers to get this edge up here. I'm going to try not to touch any of the grey, because in no doubt I am going to get some red paint on my fingers because it's not fully cured. As I say, if it was matte, I would not be so desperate to do it, but with it being gloss, it can tend to peel a lot worse than if it were matte. So bear that in mind. I'm not trying to talk to you like you're all idiots. I tend to angle the way I talk in my videos. I tend to angle it towards the modelers that, you know, don't have years of experience. Here we go, that's the first bit of, let's come all the way around, look at that. So we've got a nice clean line there, which is nice. Here is I think where we're going to have some overspray. We shall see how this looks. Let's have a look at this. Oh, it's not too bad at all. It needs a bit more in there, it needs a bit more red in there. I've come over too much with the tape, but I can probably brush that in. We'll see how it looks. So those sponsons, the tape can stay on them because they've been there, the tape's been on them for ages. So I want to get this off here. So I think what we'll do is get our knife, just, I could do with a new blade in here I think, can I? Just get in here and just remove this glove. It's just growling, just as led in her bed with a plastic bottle. She likes plastic bottles, and when she gets a plastic bottle she becomes very, very possessive with it. So she just sits there or lays there with her plastic bottle and growls. I think she's losing the plot, but she's happy, so hey, that's all that matters. After all, she's number one. Oh, this is dodgy. You've got to be careful of that. When you start to pull tape from two angles, that's when you can get issues. So be very careful of that. And there again, we have a very clean line, a surprisingly clean line down there. We've got to be so careful not to knock anything off. We've got all these little greeblies on here now. Get off. Oh, it sticks to everything except what you want it to stick to. That can come away from there, and then we'll get this piece away from here. Again, we've got a very clean line. I'm really happy with how this has come out. Really happy, very happy indeed. Come on, come off. Yeah, even over that step there, that rib. Very happy with that. Really clean. So far the only bit we've got to touch up is that bit there. I may even come in and spray that again, we shall see. I'll do that off camera, so as not to bore the living daylights out of you. This is going to be fun getting this off. I've got a feeling I've wrapped this tape around and around. That's going to come off of there. There we go. So now we can take that finger off of there. Finger of fudge is just enough. Piece there does not want to let go. And then we can take that off of there. Get this one off of here. And we should be good to go. Now masking this back here was a bit of a nightmare because there's a bit of a gap between the two. So I was trying to tuck the tape into the gap. Get off. Let's see if it's worked. Yes, it has. Very happy with a tiny bit of overspray there, look. Just in there, we'll just brush that in. But yeah, really happy with how that's come out. I think what I will do is come back in an hour, mask that and just paint that area again, rather than wrist brushing. Although I should be able to wrist brush it because it's going to be hidden by, well, sort of hidden by this, isn't it? No, not at all. It's not hidden by that at all. So I think what I'll do is I'll come in and mask that again and just blow that bit in. Yeah, because it's not very nice at all. It needs to just tape. The tape needs to be just a tad higher. So there we go. Right. So I'm going to call that a day for this video. It's going to be it's a very, very short one. I also want to say a big, big thank you to the person whose name has slipped my mind. But they have been looking at the photographs I've been looking at of this actual helicopter in 1995, and they noticed that on the tail rotor here there is a red band on the bottom end of each blade. So thank you very much for that. So I can't believe I didn't notice that. So we're going to have to paint those in as well, because now I know they're there. It'll bother me if I don't deal with it. But there you can see our red and grey helicopter looking all great. So I've got to leave this. The reason I'm cutting this video so short is I've got to leave this now for at least a couple of days before I can risk masking and painting the window frames in grey, and then we can get all the masking off the windows as well then. Although no, we'll leave that on because we're going to have to be doing flat coats and stuff. I've also got to think about how I'm going to do these black frames on these windows. I want those windows to have black frames. It's going to be very, very difficult, especially in behind there. So I'm not quite sure how I'm going to go about it yet, but I will think of a plan. Right, so thank you for watching. That has been a very, very short part 14. Maybe you like it this way, but we can see here now. She's all done. She's got all her greeblies on. We got all the antennas on. Obviously I haven't got that one on there yet. There's going to be a piece of wire going from there to there to there. Obviously after it's decorated and everything. We've got some overspray there. Look, all the way up there we've got some overspray. We may, with a wet cotton bud, we may be able to just get that off, because it's going to be such a fine dust. How on earth did it get all the way up there? There must have been a hole in the glove or something. But there'll be nothing to blow that in again. When I do the window frames, just blow that in. So anyway, I'll see you all soon. Thank you for watching, and I'm going to get that little bit of painting done there, and then I'll get the glazing masked up, paint that grey, and then when I come back for part 15 we should have all of the painting done. Okay, so I'll see you then. I forgot to show you I did the doors as well, so they're all done. Okay, I'll see you soon. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.